Hi, this is Mrs. Bellin with another math lesson. 2 in 1 week, I'm getting good. Okay, so today's lesson will be, how do I tell time to the hour on a clock that has only the hour hand? Well, let's see. But by the end of this lesson, you will be able to tell time by using the hour hand. Okay, so let's get started. So, who can tell me, or think in your heads, what do you use a clock for? Think of the things that you use a clock for. And I'm going to think right now what I use a clock for. I use a clock to wake up in the morning. I use a clock to eat lunch. I use a clock to cook dinner. I use a clock to go to bed at night. And I think you use a clock too, even though you don't think you do. How about when you're in school and you have to wake up in the morning? What time do you wake up? Or does mom wake you up? Or what time do you have to wake up to come and do Mrs. Billen's work for the day? So think about that. Also, you might be playing outside and mom will say, come in at 5 o'clock. So you need to know what 5 o'clock is or what it looks like. And moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas, we all use clocks. They go to work. They need a clock to wake them up in the morning. They need a clock to tell them what time to leave, to get to work on time. Or they use a clock. My son is making me laugh, I'm sorry. Or they use a clock to leave their job and then come home to you. So they use clocks as well. Now in your house, you may see a round clock with numbers on it, or you may see a square or a rectangle clock and it has numbers on it already. It tells you the exact time. That's called a digital clock because it has digits on it. This is called an analog clock. And we're going to be putting our numbers in a second. There's a certain way that we put the numbers in. And I'm going to show you right now. There's a reason why I put boxes around these 4 numbers. The reason being, when we make a clock and we draw our own clock, we put in these 4 numbers first. So, the 12 goes on the top, 6 goes on the bottom. Then your 3 goes in between, and your 9 goes in between. Some clocks you may see just look like this, but those are for the people that have been telling time for many years, and you don't need all the numbers on them. But for learning, you need the numbers on them. So now what you're going to do is squeeze your numbers in here. Not squeeze them, but put them in a way that you're not going to, you're going to be able to read them. So we have the 12 already, and after 12 comes 1. And then after 1 comes 2. You have your 3 here already. 4, 5, here's the 6, 7, 8, here's the 9, 10, 11. Okay, and there's your clock. Here's the 12. And then you start all over again. So, then we're going to think about, okay, now Mrs. Billin said, how am I going to tell time to the hour on a clock that only has an hour hand? Well, how many hands do clocks have? Think about that. Or maybe you don't have to think about it. Clock has 2 hands. there's the long one, and there's the short one. We're going to work with the short one today. And this is called the hour hand. We're not going to look at this one today. That's the minute hand. So we're just going to look at the hour hand. And when we use the hour hand is pointing directly to that number when it's o'clock. When we want to write it, you have the 2 zeros, the colon, and then the number in front of it. So why don't we start with the first one? Let's see, and don't forget this is the hour hand, so it's short. And it has to be pointing the o'clock. When it's o'clock, it has to be pointing to the number exactly. So let's put it here. I made it pretty straight, right? Okay, the number is 1, and the hour hand is pointing to the 1. So we say that this is 1 o'clock. What if, let me erase this, because we'll do another one. What if the hour hand was pointing to 3? What time would that be? Well, it's pointing to the 3, and we know that the colon and the double zeros make the o'clock. So we call this 3 o'clock. Let's try one more. I have the hour hand pointing to the 12. So this would be 12 o'clock. Is there a 13 o'clock? No. After 12 comes 1, so it will go back to 1, then it will go to 1 o'clock. So this is 12 o'clock. That's almost the time that you eat lunch at school, right? Okay. Let's see. How would you write 8 o'clock? How would you write 8 o'clock? I'll put that up here. Where would you put that hour hand? Well, if you said pointing towards the 8, you're absolutely correct. And make sure that it is the short hand on the clock. Okay, because tomorrow we'll be learning about minutes and we'll be using the big hand. So we have to be able to tell the difference between the long hand and the short hand. Okay, any questions? Okay, if you're having trouble with this, you're going to go on to Think Central for today. You're going to be doing pages 245 and 246, and you'll be practicing telling time to the hour on a clock that has only the hour hand. And you'll be also writing the time, what it looks like when you write it on paper. Okay? All right, so have fun today telling time. And I'll see you tomorrow.